Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to our interview, our weekly, not weekly, but Wednesday afternoons live broadcast here in the Self-Learning Center. So, Professor Tang, welcome back.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. So we were talking about your experiences in university as an English major, and then later becoming a graduate student.
Yeah.
I understand that when you were a graduate student, you started working. You wanted to become an anchor, but actually you worked for the Golden Horse Festival for a couple of years. Is that right? Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
So right after graduating, upon graduating from English departments, I applied for a job actually as a journalist first, and then I shifted to, I became more interested in film. So I was very fortunate, and one of my teachers said, "Hey Albert, we'd like to help in the Golden Horse Film Festival." So I did.
I see.
I was responsible for several things that year in particular. Long time ago, 1991, I think. Wow, long time ago. So I was in charge of reception. So I arranged all the receptionists for international guests. 4 guests that still deeply in my memory was 2 Russian directors and their wives. All right. And that was the first time I actually talked to Russian, real people.
Real Russian.
Yeah, real Russian.
Real Russian.
Yeah. And they were very famous, international, well-known directors. And one of the wife was actually the leading actress in the film. It's a beautiful director's wife. Okay. Anyway, so we have a lot of experiences in Golden Horse Film Festival doing reception. I was also in charge of a special exhibition in Tainan. That was also a record-breaking exhibition in Tainan area where we bring Golden Horse Film Festival out of Taipei to other places in Taiwan. Yeah, I also support a lot of translation between English titles and English film titles to Chinese. And you realize how difficult it is, or how amazing it could be.
Yes. Because
a lot of times in Hollywood movie could be translated differently in Taiwan, Hong Kong, and China.
Yes.
Back then, before 1992, I mean before they actually get together and sit down. Hey, this film is this one. So I was doing a lot of proofreading, and also, yeah, you got to remember this was before internet.
Yes.
So there's no reference.
No.
You can't Google and find out the translation. Yeah. So there's a lot of work, hard work, to make it happen.
I see. And so your English skills actually, it sounds like you've used all the skills that you have actually.
Yeah.
So you have to read, you have to write, you have to listen, you have to speak, you have to translate and interpret.
Exactly.
You have all of these skills, and you also have to organize.
Yeah, actually starting maybe from my sophomore year, I was part-time translator and interpreter for a translation agency.
I see.
Yeah,
and that
to 打工, for part-time.
So good training.
Yeah, good experiences. I really appreciate those who give me this opportunity when I was really young and very inexperienced at the time.
If there are students who are watching now who are actually not English majors, who actually they are in journalism, or they're in the communication arts, and as a professor of communication arts, what do you tell them about English? What do you tell them about their English learning and what they should have? What kind of abilities do you think they need?
Yeah. Okay. Number one, for me, TOEFL is okay. TOEIC or other, what is that?
Standardized
tests. Even if you really got good scores, it doesn't mean much to me. I mean, as a professor. I see if you have a work, I mean, you have the projects or several projects as your records. I mean, you have participated in self-learning, you have proofs that you write article, and you do project in English. What I'm saying, always talking and sharing with my students is, English is not for you to learn. English is for you to use.
I see. So,
so real purposes, but yes and no. I mean, English is everyday life.
I see.
Yeah, and how to make it more part of yourself. I do this all the time, and it could be useful. Every night, even until now, when I lie in bed and close my eyes, I was having a movie just go through what happened the very early morning and here's what we had. I mean, there's a movie on my vision, and I was doing translation, acting, all things all together. So that helps a lot. If you try this, you study a lot of things from your book or anything, Google, internet, and blah blah blah, and you have a kind of reflection before you actually get into sleep. Okay, scientists said this is kind of 睡眠学习法.
I see.
But I just happened to have it when I was really young.
I see. So think about your day and the things you've learned and reflect on them.
In a filmmaking way.
In a filmmaking way. Before you go.
Could be feature film or documentary, whatever you like.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think what you're saying is that students, if you're not an English major, it's very good to be productive in English.
Exactly.
To not just use English as a tool to get pass tests, but to use it in your daily life and be productive, produce something.
And also, of course, daily conversation is important. You need to know how to order food. You need to know how to, hey, how are you? Do you have some time later? Or you know how to get cooking somebody else. But academic English is important. Academic English.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean English in a more provocative way, and thought-provoking. How to use English to provoke a lot of thoughtful thinking. Yeah.
What do you mean? I think students. I think I get it, but I think students might not yet. You mean how to ask a good question, how to frame
ask
question, how
yes.
to use abstract language,
and how to answer this question in a more academic way. Academic means well organized, beautifully structured, and clearly defined. All right. So English could be like street dance, right? Street dance, hip hop. Okay. Rap. English could be like Shakespeare. Yeah, actually, we can do Shakespeare with raps too.
I think so. Yeah, I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
So there is actually kind of a rap Shakespearean performance. So how to get into these popular culture and high culture? There are various ways of reorganizes and put it into a kind of academic frame.
I see. So we think about English, like as an English major, a lot of times students say that, okay, so English majors study high culture. And a lot of people are interested in popular culture, but where they can meet is using academic language, using scholarly language so that they can be bridged.
So we could discuss hip hop with a kind of academic configuration.
Yes.
Right? For example, what about
configuration?
What about body politics? What about female or gender equalities in terms of media representation? What about the racial issues? Hip hopping, was it always a kind of black issue? Can monks do hip hop too? Yeah. So I know that's a weird question, but that's how we develop different. Very open-minded ways of thinking in using English.
I see. And so English, if used in this way, to be creative, productive, to be critical, and to think in cross-cultural ways, then we become better thinkers.
I hope so, yes.
And that's something I think
exactly.
Students of communication arts need. Yeah. So how did you get interested in film? So you moved and you became, you're now a film expert. I understand.
I'm sorry, too much of flattery, yes.
You're a film expert, yes.
I teach film, yes.
Okay, you teach film. And so this started, back in your Golden Horse days as well? Or before that?
Right.
Or was this after?
It's actually began in English department too.
English department,
yes, because visual arts and film analysis, literary analysis was part of the curriculum, right? Part of the program.
Yes.
And methodologically speaking, ways literary training, literary analysis has been also applied to a lot of film analysis.
Yes.
Okay, so these two streams are closely related.
Yes.
And my interest in film in Golden Horse Film Festival is that it opens my eyes to see the world differently.
Yes.
And also, especially for Golden Horse Film Festival, I was so happy that I actually get into Chinese cinemas. The first choice is Hollywood, Then it's European art house cinema, and then shift to Chinese cinemas. I just found out I don't understand too much about Chinese cinemas, like early Chinese cinemas in the 30s and 40s. But when I really get involved in these studies, I found, wow, there's so many research that's been done from the States. Okay, so a lot of 老外, a lot of foreign experts, they knew much more than I do about Chinese early cinemas or fifth generation, those new wave things. So it really aroused my interest. Hopefully, I want to have more dialogues. Okay, I can theoretically, I know these theories.
Yes.
I also get into these histories because I see a lot of films. And after I worked for Golden Horse Film Festival,
yes,
I have a real direct touch with industries as well as these filmmakers. I work with Li Xing, one of the most heavyweight directors now, still alive now in Taiwan.
Yes.
And so altogether, film has been part of my life.
I see.
I watch film. If I'm not watching film, I'm thinking about film.
I see. This is a question for students who like to read. So they're literature people. What is the gap like between analyzing literature and analyzing film? What are some things that if I'm interested in reading, now I want to move toward film studies, what is the first step that I can take to getting into film studies? Not necessarily literature also, but also communication arts students. My first step is to think about film in a critical way, not just creative, not just as a creator, but
Right. The first step is I can do a small promotion right now.
Sure.
Because every year, as you mentioned earlier, EU, European Union, has a collaboration with Taiwan.
Yes.
Especially universities and other institutions in Taiwan. They would hold Ozhou-Mei, Taiwan European Film Festival, starting very soon. I mean, on the campus in
Ozhou-Mei.
Yeah, Ozhou-Mei. So the first way is get involved.
Get involved.
Yeah, get involved. Don't just sit somewhere else. I mean, get involved with film. It could be a film festival. It could be watching films all the time, or sometimes, or once in a while, or once in a year. Okay.
Once in a year.
That would be too absurd. And if you start with European film, you realize the philosophical rendering, philosophical thinking, is very much related in like a cinematic way, or so artistic way, or literary way. I mean, I saw them 3 in 1. Literature, arts, and filmmaking. These are actually together. Yeah, for example, expressionism, 表现主义, right? In the early Germany, this was very much involved and spread over in arts, in novels, also architecture, also filmmaking, especially black and white silent film. All right. So this was early cinema, but these were all correlated.
Yes.
And so, for me, literature doesn't mean it only fixed on print media. I mean,
just words.
Words. It could be also related to visual arts, and also for film, you have to sometimes analyze the story, right? The script.
Yes.
And then you have to know these literary meaning or affection, in characterization. But for film, you have a lot of things to do with these mise en scène, 场面调度. You have to think about these special techniques, right? So for film, you need to know another set of language, or another set of literature.
Film language. You mean film language?
Film.
The language of film. The language of cinema.
That's kind of a film literacy. Yeah, and for literature, it's like kind of literacy.
Do you have a book or a film that you would recommend to students that they watch or read to understand, to start thinking about film literacy?
Wow. Andrew, you got me. Okay.
It's starting to get harder.
It's a long list.
Of course, yes.
Okay. Come to take my class.
Okay, yes. Hear that, students?
Take Professor Tang's class. For example, and then get to sleep, before you start watching the film. I just realized.
Don't watch a film when you're tired.
Yeah, and nowadays I found students really get easily tired. And they show their tiredness in front of you.
Yes,
that's about to remain quite a lot recently.
I've noticed that too. Yeah, actually, students get too tired. Yeah, but so let's instead of just we have a question.
Yeah, we have.
Yes, we have a question.
And several comments.
Oh, we have several comments. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll take a few.
So, Zheng Anyuan.
Anyuan, hello Anyuan.
Yes.
Thank you so much for watching.
My English is poor. Can I still participate in volunteer works at foreign countries?
Okay, good question. So you, 他是哪个系?
Did
No,
you say
okay.
No idea.
Yeah, there's no really any standard for English proficiency in overseas self-learning program. You're welcome, absolutely welcome, from the very bottom of my heart. Yes. So you can make a lot of. I'm sure you can make a lot of progresses, because you'll be reflecting your progresses every day. So no problem for you to get in, go to the Center for Self-Learning, 服务学习中心, talk to people there. And my experience is I found a lot of students making a lot of progresses in body languages, right? They don't know, they can't understand English, Indian English too. But they learn how to do very excellent head shaking all the time. Yeah, so that kind of cross-cultural experiences, I think will enhance your interest and your sense of humor. Yeah, I hope that.
I hope that answer helps.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, and Liu Zhaoqing.
Zhaoqing, hello Zhaoqing. I know you're a 固定的观众.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank
She
you.
asked, is there any skill that you think one must have before he or she goes abroad? I think it is. She is asking on a concerning the service learning. Yeah.
What are some skills?
Aspect.
In terms of English writing or English ability, I highly recommend everybody learn to type English in a correct way. English typing is very, very important.
Type fast, type well.
Type well and type fast. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a must for a non-English speaker. And because my own personal experiences, I don't know how to type before I was a senior student. Because there's only IBM PC was suddenly in my life when I was in senior students. And after I can type, I can start writing a lot, and it really helps a lot of writing, composition, and ways of dialoguing with people. And but for self-learning, I think start reading. Okay, reading in an interesting way. Put yourself into the story. Imagine you're in Delhi. Imagine you're with the Three Idiots, right? 三个傻瓜. Or imagine you're in the film of, JoJo Tsai Ing-wen, or any kind of Bollywood thing.
Also a good film.
To arouse your interest, I think is even more important than really seriously get started, in very intensive English training.
Yeah, one more question.
Yes.
So, from Chen Shangyu.
Shangyu.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shangyu, for watching.
He says that actually, my brother is doing some educational work with English abroad. So those experiences he shared with me really opened my mind. And he asked what do you think about doing service abroad instead of having company with family? I think he meant how do you deal with not being around with your family when you are abroad doing service?
Okay, so there are different purposes when you can go abroad, right? You can do also working holidays. You can also just, hey, India, you could be there on your own, right? You don't have to do this volunteer. You don't have to deal with something with the poor or with the kids. There's something you probably was always out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
So I think self-learning is different because it's challenging, part of you. And that challenge sometimes drives you crazy or drive you really into a very interesting condition that you want to improve yourself. So you're not, as I said in the beginning, you're not taking, a photo and went back to Taiwan and forgetting anything there. reflect, 反思, you rethink about your experiences. We have reflection time like 2 hours every night.
2 hours?
Yeah.
Together?
Together. It's a group reflection. And that really helps because you share and you share with those people share with you. So it's a collective sharing, and your as I said, it is so productive.
Yes.
So you become partners. The sense of partnership is very strong, and you do it in Chinese, and sometimes you can rewrite it in English. And of course, you also reflect with your English friends, I mean Indian friends, in English. Reflection is a very important part in philosophy of life and also in using English.
Thank you. Yes, I've been thinking about collective sharing. It's a very good technique, actually.
Yeah, yes. As a teacher, I learn a lot from my students too. So that makes me not just as a supervisor. I was also a very active learner, a listener. We have to listen. We have to learn how to listen to students, these voices of young people.
Yes. So, Professor, before we end, I think I'd like to ask you to recommend a few films, if that's okay. So, 2 from the European world, 2 from the Asia continent, and 2 maybe America, South America, Central America. But films that you like, maybe around 5 to 6, that students probably would not watch if you didn't recommend. And so those will be some of the questions that I'll ask you in the questionnaire.
They'll probably not watching this film, even if
you recommend. But they have to be available, so we have to be able to watch them here at school. Or what would you recommend for college, university students starting their
My Fair Lady.
My Fair Lady. 窈窕淑女.
Yeah, that would be maybe for English majors it's kind of cliche, but that's the one. If you know, of course we like Audrey.
Yes,
Hepburn. Okay. Also, the way of learning English.
Yes.
How a linguistic can train a vulgar girl, underclass girl, to be like a lady. And so My Fair Lady comes to my mind now related to English learning.
Yes.
It's entertaining and it's also very inspiring.
Yes.
You can change your accent, or it could be multi-essential. I mean, you could use, for example, when I was in India, I could talk like Indians.
I see.
When I was in
Is that okay?
UK, I mean, like to sound like
a little bit more.
Prince Charles.
Yes.
That could be all right. When I was in Japan, I like to imitate people and learn people. So that kind of platform and very dramatic skills was part of the English learning, and it's really interesting. There's several, so My Fair Lady, okay, and I always encourage my students, European film classes, to watch Metropolis.
I see, yes. 大都会.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
so
大都会.
She saw it, okay. It's very challenging too.
Yes.
It's very important. It's one of that kind of film you won't forget.
Oh, of course not. No, of course not. No. Yeah.
You hate it sometimes because it's black and white.
It's silent too.
It's silent. Okay. There's a lot of intertitle.
Yes.
And yeah, so people at my age, you like it too. Okay. So we are the same age, same generation. So. For Chinese film, yeah, Spring in a Small Town is always my favorite.
I'm sorry? Which one?
Spring in a Small Town.
Spring in the Small Town.
小城之春.
小城之春.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that. Okay.
Yeah.
小城之春.
Yeah, there are actually 2 versions. The first one, of course, 1948, and in the year 2000 there was a remake.
A remake.
Yeah, so because it's so classic, right? This is what I think. To my knowledge, the best film in the history of Chinese cinema.
I see.
Produced in 1948, before the liberation of China, liberation quotation mark.
Yes.
And it has been very, very interesting, very mind-opening. Yeah, do get to watch. It's on YouTube. Okay, with high definition version. Right. For American film, I like Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump. I see.
Yeah, partially because it was rerun, keep rerunning all the time.
阿甘正传.
阿甘正传. Also because I think I remember the bench chair. I mean in Heidelberg. You've been to Germany for 1 year.
Yes.
So in Heidelberg on the main streets,
Yes.
you've been there, right?
Yes, I
So
remember.
remember that chair?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
Oh.
The bench. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I've been there 3 times, and
It's beautiful.
I just sit in a chair and have my wonderful afternoon there. Forrest Gump has been also very inspiring. So think about when you do jogging nowadays, young people. I saw students jogging all the time.
Yes.
Around 10 o'clock at night. And when you do jogging, you can. Why don't you report the things you have seen? I mean, in English, self-reporting, 自我报道. Okay. Or you keep, English using English could be compatible to a lot of chores.
Yes.
Okay. I'm very ashamed to say that I didn't do that much chores. Okay, but 做家事的时候也可以做. Okay, I'm washing my dishes 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, I'm shifting channel from CNN to BBC and to other channels. I think you can always do this kind of training by yourself, and meanwhile you're using it.
Yes.
So that's good. Right?
Yes, that's good. Yes.
Okay,
so students, those films, highly recommended by Professor Tang. You heard it from the professor himself. Okay. So students,
can I add one more?
Of course.
Yeah. One film from Malaysia.
Malaysia film.
I didn't mention any Asian film. A couple of years ago, this is the box hitting, the most successful film from Malaysia, related to a Chinese story. The title of the film is The Journey.
The Journey.
Yeah.
It's a Chinese title?
有你真好.
有你真好. Okay. Okay, so students, I haven't watched that yet. I'm going to watch that film soon.
And the music was great. The content, the story, everything was pretty good, pretty much interesting. Yes.
So
I think I mentioned 5.
That's 5 films. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Professor Tang. And students, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully, you've gained a little bit of insight into the world of the professor, communication arts. And also, you've gained some new thoughts on what it means to travel for service purposes. Hopefully, we've inspired you a little bit today. We will be off next week. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time, and we will talk.
I have a final question.
You have a final question? Okay, member of our crew, Joe, you have a final question. Go ahead.
Professor, would you like to promote more about your course for the next semester? Because I think maybe some students may want to participate in your course.
Yes, Professor.
For next semester.
Oh, promotion for my own courses?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. How much time do I have?
We have, how much time?
No, it's fine. Just kidding.
5 minutes?
Oh,
Sure.
well,
Go ahead. Yes.
no, my own courses, because I teach in Department of Communication Arts, I have a lot of required courses which you may not be able to take it. But I do have Inter-Asian Cinema, yeah, 纪电影, where I discuss films. Well, it's not Asian films, it's inter-Asian films, like the film I just recommended. Because this film deals with people, different people, different cities, or different races, okay, and how they, the geopolitical interactions with a lot of cultural meanings, right? Like Singapore, Indonesia. Well, of course, I do talk a lot about Indian cinemas and Filipino. Last year we talked about Pakistan and even films made in Central Asia. All right, and it could be a feature film, it could be documentary.
Yes.
And this is, as far as I know, the only course in Taiwan deals with non-Hollywood, non-EU,
yes,
that kind of film. So I think it was trying. I mean, even if you're not taking this course, somebody else is opening our eyes with different versions, different films from various places, various cities.
Yeah. What time is the course?
Oh, okay. It should be Tuesday.
Tuesday
afternoon.
Tuesday afternoon, students. So if you are free on Tuesday afternoons, how many slots do you have? Do you take extras?
Yeah, just come to me. I will sign for you.
3:30 to 5:30.
Yes.
Yes.
3:30 to 5:30,
Yes.
or 1:40.
Yeah. 3:40 to 5:30.
7:8, okay.
But usually, if we see a film, it could be 6.
It could be 6. It could be around
3:40 to 6.
Yeah, okay. So thank you so much, Professor Tang, for coming.
Sure.
Thank you, students. Yeah, so please go and check out Professor Tang's work and his courses. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Thank you all very much. Bye-bye.